Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Zoom at Noon with our college counseling team, or at least 2/3 of it. I'm John Warren. I'm the Director of Admissions, and this is one of many in our series trying to give people a quick view, a quick glimpse of different parts of our school. We've done one recently on diversity, inclusion and equity work. We did one on outdoor education, and we did one on our pandemic precautions that we've been doing. So if you're interested in any of those, let us know and we can send you those links. Today we have Darnell Haywood, who's in her 13th year here at Academy. She is on the board of the College Board, I believe. And she has two sons here. Liam is a senior and Charlie is a sophomore. We also have Jen Fitzpatrick, the Associate Director of College Counseling here at Academy. And she has been here 9 years now and has a daughter, Molly, who is in 8th grade. So very involved in the life of the school, both of them are. And they want to share some thoughts with you today about the college counseling program here and give you an idea. Many times when families come to Columbus Academy, they are very interested in learning more about how that process works. The idea being that we have 3 full-time college counselors who help our upper schoolers, particularly the seniors, and they'll talk a little bit more about the philosophy behind that and how everything's going. So Darnell, take over, please.
Great. Thanks, John. Thanks so much for inviting us today to talk about college counseling at Columbus Academy. Columbus Academy and college counseling are 2 of our favorite subjects. So we're really happy to be here with you to talk a little bit about our program and how we see it fitting in overall into the Columbus Academy education. You will see listed on this first slide the team of college counselors. I'm Darnell Haywood, here with Jen Fitzpatrick. We also have John Wagshall and Joan Young in our office. And I think many of you might be thinking, wow, 4 people working in college counseling and their upper school is just over 400 students. And we want to let you know we are just, we see this as a culmination of the education experience at Columbus Academy, and our school is very devoted to this process. And we see it as part of everything we'll do. We sort of start with this tree metaphor here, because this is what we want to show you all. It's both in the growth of each child, it's both their roots and the trunk and leaves flourishing. And this is an image we've used a lot in our school, and we like to center our college counseling in the mission and strategic vision of our school. We have backgrounds in college admissions. We've worked at colleges and universities. We also have teaching backgrounds, and we think it's so important that we combine our knowledge of college admissions with what we know to be the growth and development of students. Our process is very child-centered and rooted in the fact that it's an expectation at Columbus Academy that students will apply and go on to universities and colleges, and it's embedded in all of the work we do. So for us, this is just so very important at our school, and we'll go over a little bit more of the timeline with you a little bit later, but Jen's going to talk about the landscape of college admissions so that you all can gain a little information about this here.
Yeah, so for some of you, if you have younger children or if you're a high school parent, we like to put this in the context so you can know a little bit about what's going on in the national landscape. A lot of times you hear the media talking about like, get to know your counselor in the 9th grade or in the 8th grade, and you got to start early. And at Columbus Academy, the starting point is a little different because the presumption is everybody here is going to a 4-year college. This is embedded into the curriculum. Our work is part of everything that we do here at the school. And you don't have to try and really get to know your counselor, because you will absolutely know your counselor Darnell talking about the size of our staff. You'll see here on the screen the national ratio. I know most of my juniors and seniors better than I know some of my family members. This is a place where your college counselor will know you, will know a lot about you, your family, what's important to your family when you're looking at higher education. And it's really been sort of one of the highlights of my career to get to know the families as well as we do. Some of the other things you should know about the national landscape is there are things that fluctuate, like the number of international students, especially in a pandemic, applying to colleges. But there are things that don't change. The number of highly selective schools and schools with low admit rates, those schools continue to be popular. People are applying to those in droves. If you're thinking as an adult, well, I applied to 3 or 4 schools and that's just how it was back in January, the situation, the national landscape is very different on that. Now, students apply to more colleges, they apply online, and they don't do so just because it's easy. They do so to hedge bets. Things are more competitive now. We're going to show you a little bit more about that later, but this is just some things we want you to keep in mind. We also want you to know that colleges have recruiting plans that they follow, and they are really tied to their college mission. Sometimes the mission of the school will say, we want more first generation students, or this year we really want to enroll more students from rural areas. So we're always looking at data. That's a little cartoon of us in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We love data, and part of our job is to keep abreast of national trends in the field, and we love it. These are just a couple of other points about the national landscape. We teach these terms to our students and our parents because we want them to know about merit aid and what is that really about? Is it really about merit, or is it about a college trying to enroll you? We talk a lot about financial aid and how parents can and students can look at schools that have the right price tag for them. We talked about the shifting calendar. Students actually, every single one of our seniors had a college application in by early November this year. It's not necessarily early decision, but early action. That's a differentiation, but it's interesting to know that while as adults, most of us applied to college in January, this calendar has really moved up. I think something that's also interesting to know are the few majors that we have here on the screen. These are the most competitive programs out there, not just for boys, and not just for girls rather, but also for boys, right? So it used to be as little as 10 years ago, if you were a woman applying to computer science, you really had an edge. That's not the case anymore. We stay on top of these trends and on top of the landscape so that we can share this information with our students and our parents.
Yes. Okay. And so, oh yeah, go on with this one, Jen.
Yeah, the last thing I want to mention before I go back to Darnell is I think what's really important to know is that we take great pride at our school in how we focus on the whole child. So even though we are a college prep school, our kids are going to fabulous places, we keep this in perspective because nothing is more important than the health of a child. And so there are times where a kid might look at us and we just know that this is not the right time, that we postpone a meeting or we say, let's talk about this application next week because they're having a hard week. They have an AP physics exam or they're in the state championship field hockey game and college admissions needs to take a back seat for a week. That's part of why we really love working at Columbus Academy is our school really focuses on the well-being of the child. And so that means there are times where we need to do a little bit of pushing and there are times that we need to tell people to back off, and we're pretty in tune with that.
Great. Thanks, Jen. So one of the things that Jen touched on is how much research we do in the field out there. We are very active in professional organization. We're in communication with many colleges and universities. We have set up over 100 visits for our students to attend, Columbus Academy students to attend on Zoom during this pandemic time, and usually those are visitors that come to our school. And our goal is to expose students to the breadth and depth of colleges and universities that are out there. And what's so much fun for us is to realize the strength of so many of these places and where our students can go to grow into the best adults that they can be. So we're really in our school culture focused on the match for college. What place will maximize the student's potential and how do they grow from their point in high school on? This is a wonderful place that I believe allows students to identify their individual talents and strengths, and to present those to colleges and universities, to really take that step of saying, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm passionate about. And then they end up actually putting themselves out there in the world to college admissions officers. And what we do is we have them create a balanced college list for this. We think it's so important that they say, okay, what are my matches? Where am I going to take a risk? What do I know if all this school is inundated with applications, and how will I know I'll have a good chance? And this is actually, by the way, a really great adult skill to have. Okay, how do I make sure I have plans for anything that could come my way? How do I have a realistic self-assessment? Like I might say, I'm really good at talking and presenting, but I don't know what I'd do without Jen helping me create these wonderful presentations. And this is true. So you recognize these things, and these are the skills that we're teaching them in this process. So next we want to go on about the search at Columbus Academy, because this is kind of fun for you all to see. These are information that every year that I've worked here, and as John said, it's been 13, we've had students go to 50 to 60 different colleges. So what is...
I'm sorry, can I interrupt? This is we're typically graduating about 100 students a year.
Yeah.
So just to give our friends at home that knowledge. Okay, sorry.
That's great. And what you'll see is that it's roughly between 65 to 70% of students that will go out of state for colleges and universities, and about 30% that will stay in state for colleges. We'll have students that go to public universities, smaller private schools, research institutions, military academies, historically Black colleges and universities, universities abroad. You can see that little map there of the UK, and we will have students that will stay closer to home and go farther away. And it's just so much fun for students and families to dig into the research of the schools that are out there after a rigorous process of self-reflection. Next slide. So what you all will see is that we talk in general terms about the courses, but if you want to really dig in and see all the fabulous places that our students go to college and university, you will want to look at our school profile. This is available on the Columbus Academy web page. It actually, if you go into the college counseling page, you'll see profiles listed for many years. And this is our kind of state of the state of college counseling at Columbus Academy. But what we are really proud of is the matches that are made. Our students really transfer at a much lower rate than nationally. And we know that our students are prepared for college once they get there. Part of the benefits of going to a school like this is that every class is geared towards that college mindset. And so you will see that students are learning critical thinking skills, writing skills, strong quantitative abilities, and this is what will be required of them once they get to college. And our anecdotal knowledge is that our kids have really gone on to find that their education here served them well for what's at the next step.
And Darnell, one thing I would add is, we don't just want them to get in, we want them to stay in. We want them to go to the college. We want them to love it so much because it's a great fit, and we want them to be wildly successful. That's the goal, not just to get them into a college, but to put them in the right place.
And Jen, actually we stay on this for just one more second. I think one of the things that this is part of what we should let you all know with this is we have a curriculum around college counseling. And some of the things that you may not know that we do, that we really pride ourselves on, is that we have, sort of like a large lecture hall, almost a situation like this, where we would talk to groups and parents about what's age appropriate for their child. So this is available in 9th and 10th grade. We start meeting with students and families at the end of the 10th grade, really not in a formal college counseling capacity, but in developing a strong academic plan, developing extracurricular interests, thinking about how that may play out. And then in the junior year, which is really a big college counseling year, we have individual appointments with students and families, many of them, meaning students have many, and families have many appointments. I mean, we meet with all of them, but we also have a college counseling class. And one little fun tidbit that I'd share with you that we love doing, we want to teach them skills that will apply to the college process and to life more broadly. And one of the things that we do in class is we have students interview each other, and we have them film each other when they're doing this interview, and then they can go home and watch how they performed on the interview. So we're teaching them not only how to see the interview, but then how to critique themselves. And we know that this is so important as life. I went off script there, but John said that was okay, so I'm doing that. Next slide. Okay, and this is just so important. I think this is a slide that we like, but kids are not bumper stickers on the car. There's so many different journeys, and we can just move on from that. Financial aid, we put this slide in here because we want to let you know that we are very attuned to helping families learn about this sector of college counseling. We want to help them figure out what they can pay, what they want to pay, what options they have for merit aid. And we love it because we really counsel our students to look for that right match for them and for their family. And financial aid is included in that. And I really do think this is a value added at Columbus Academy. We are letting kids know about scholarships. We are encouraging them to apply for them. We are recommending them to colleges and universities. We're telling them things like demonstrate interest to a college or university because you may then end up getting a scholarship there. This is really something that in the last 5 or so years, we've spent a lot of time and attention on, and I think it serves our families well. Jen, you want to take the next slide?
Sure. These are just a few things we wanted folks to know about out there. We talked about the size of our staff, and Darnell mentioned that we often talk with groups that's at certain grade levels. Different grade levels get different information, right? We just want freshmen and sophomores to know a little bit about things, about the PSAT, about AP testing, things of that nature. We have regular correspondence with parents to keep them in the loop. We have a very robust school newsletter, and there's a section dedicated to college counseling. Standardized testing, I think one of the things in Academy Advantage is that we offer the in-school SAT. So this might not seem important to you, but if you think about how busy your kids are, finding certain Saturdays where your child is free and not off to a regional soccer tournament or at a job, homework, having the in-school SAT is a huge thing. We offer test prep on campus from a national expert. That person teaches a class exclusively for our students. And technology has become increasingly important, especially during COVID. Luckily for us, we were already used to using technology in a very robust way. So when the world changed several months ago, this was an easy thing for us to do. It just meant instead of us being in the same room with a kid, we were doing exactly what we were doing, just via Zoom. But we've been using Google Classroom for a long time, Maya Learning. There are different schools use different platforms, Score, Naviance, you'll hear things of that nature. We are dedicated to using the best and most robust software that we can. Any person can follow us on our Twitter account. You can be a prospective parent and follow us if you want to see some of the information that we share with our own families. Other ways that technology has become important, a senior has on-demand access to their college counselor. They can schedule a meeting with us at any time they want. They can email us any question they want. And during a time where we are now in a 50% model, that's become increasingly important. I think it's also good for people to know that kids don't read email. Adults read email, kids don't. So we've adjusted to their style, and we find ways to get around that. So there's an app that we mentioned on here because it allows us to communicate with kids in the way they prefer, which of course is in their pocket computer. This is just an example of our Twitter. These are 2 things we've tweeted out in the last couple of days, but easy way to be involved.
That's great. So, I hope you're getting a sense from this presentation about how much we love working with kids and all the kids in the class, because we just do think that the kids that John and the admissions team admit just have so much promise, and we love the opportunity to work with them. And we really value the strengths and potential of all the students at Columbus Academy. And it is our joy to help see them as that the next step, to be part of their sort of an in-between between Columbus Academy and the world that they face out there. And I do feel as though at our school, we really work hard on the curriculum of what we do here, and that we make sure that we keep our core values listed below at the center of all of our work. We're advisors, we have coaches in our office. We are cheerleaders at jazz band events, and we're at every senior art show that's there, seeing the wonderful talents of our students. Just today, we had the opportunity to hear from some of our artists. We had a virtual arts fair, and it was amazing. And I just kept thinking, let me write down that note. Oh, I hope I get to work with that child. I'm so excited to see that one when they come in our doorstep. And all of us feel that way. So we really thank you for being here. And John, we want to keep tight on our timeline, and we all
Sure.
questions.
Yeah, we've got some time for questions. One came in, and the question was, how has college counseling changed since the parents on Zoom? I mean, you mentioned that they're applying to more colleges, but the parents who are on Zoom, again, it wasn't quite the same way. Can you delve into just a little deeper to that?
I mean, my first response would be it's much more intentional, right? I think it used to be, in the words of my grandmother, throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks, right? You just say, I have a college guidebook and I'm going to pick 10 schools and go around visiting. It's a much more detailed process. There are many more resources that we use now to both make and refine the college list. There are many more resources at the tips of our counselors, to be quite honest with you. These kids have unprecedented access to a college counselor to work as much as they want on this process. So before you even get to the point of visiting colleges and applying to colleges, you've thought long and hard about the first step of the process, which is what you want to get out of your education. Like, who are you as a high schooler? What are your dreams and goals and aspirations? And then also, what are the dreams, goals, and aspirations of your family? So I think it's really become bigger. I don't want to say more complex, but I think it's become more intentional.
Can you, as you're talking, I had 3 sons, by the way, you folks out in webinar land. I had 3 sons who went through this process, and it is fabulous. Can you talk a little bit about the brag sheet?
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that. So one of the things that is so much fun that we think a lot about at our school, and I do think this is a Columbus Academy advantage, is that we think about very intentionally about teacher recommendations and about our school recommendations. So our teachers work very hard to have sort of an academic spotlight on a student's strengths, on their potential, on their work, what they see in the classroom. And they really want to take, they give a bird's eye view of the academic life of the student. What we do in our school letters of recommendation that we spend so much time writing is we do a floodlight on the student and all aspects of their life, their commitment to the arts or to athletics, maybe their home responsibilities, maybe a little bit about their family story, how they fit in their family structure, why they came to Columbus Academy. What we ask parents to do, and what we love so much, is to tell us stories about their children, to give us examples so that we can narrate these letters. So we say students write these letters by their actions. and we narrate them. And what we love is that parents become for us, a primary source. So I love the student parent who told me from the age of 3, when my student was building, when my child that I love so much was building Lego structures to block the doorway that was going into the kitchen, I was able to see the amount of focus that this child had on building, on how it worked day in and day out as it fell down. And then we can take that and put that little kernel of information in the letter and really draw out the story. We think it's really important and love hearing what they have to say.
It's a fun
John,
process. I'm
John,
sorry.
I see an easy question in the chat about some schools. I'm just going to read it. Have eliminated the SAT requirement this year. Do you expect that to continue for students in the 2022? So this is a hot topic right now. I'll tell you that both Darnell, John, and I are thinking and learning about this every day. From the vice presidents of enrollment and deans of admissions that we've spoken with, and Darnell's work on the college board, I think January and February is when colleges will start to roll that out for the current junior. So the class of 2022, we will know more in January, February. The moratorium, or the 1-year test optional, it really truly in most cases was a 1 year. Some colleges and universities did a 2-year, but most folks only said this is going to be good for the class of 2021. So we are anxiously awaiting that, but I don't think that'll be news until really January or February of this year, because it really depends on, is there a vaccine? Are schools going to be open for testing? The state of Florida right now is a hot mess, to be quite frank. I mean, the public universities there are still requiring testing, but we know that over half of the high school kids have not been able to take a test. So this is a hot topic in college admissions for sure.
And the way we are working with our families right now is we're saying we still think every student should test, and we are offering you all opportunities to do that in the school setting. Part of the thing that I love about our close relationship with the upper school and school administration is we were obviously not able to give an April in-school SAT for the class of 2021. We said these kids want scores. They've been preparing for them. They want to take them, and our school administration jumped like that, and they let us give a September 23rd SAT to this class. For the junior class, we are planning, and in a small classroom settings, in the ways that we know students perform best. When they're in the school uniform, when they're in a familiar environment, when they have a teacher they know administering the test. These are all things that we know about our research on testing that help students have a sense of identity when they go into this class of 2022. We're saying, we want you to take the test. We know that some administrations may be canceled. We are offering an in-school administration in April, and certainly we will adjust as needed if necessary, because that's the way things that we're able to do in this size school with this kind of committed faculty administration.
Terrific. All right. We have time enough for one more question after the one that I'm just about to ask here. So if someone wants to put in another question in the chat. Do you ever recommend that a student take a gap year? I know that a number of our students, for a number of our graduates from last year in the class of 2020 ended up taking a gap year because of the pandemic, and the college is the college life is a little bit different right now. Can you guys talk about that? Is there, most of our students do go off to college, but.
Yeah, and I can take this one. John, what we want to make students and families aware of are the range of options available to them post-graduation. And so part of that includes information, about a gap year, or about sort of assessing situations once they get to a college for a specific program. Some student may say, I want to go into business. I think this is what I want to go to, but I'm really interested in Spanish. So we might say, hey, well, then you should look at a school like University of Virginia, where you don't have to enter the business school right away. You can enter in your sophomore year. We want to get, and then there are other students who can say, I want business. I know I want it right away. I'm going to go into the Fisher College of Business at Ohio State, or I'm going to go to Babson College, which is a small business college in Boston area, because I'm so focused on that. So what we are looking for families is the really what we see in the child, what we see in the family, and really paying attention to any changes. So I think what was interesting about what happened with some kids taking a gap year this year, they were able to assess the situation at the colleges they had decided to go to, and to decide whether that was right for them or not. Some of those students were athletes and they thought, I don't want to miss a year of being able to play in college. Others thought, I want to stay closer to home because I'm not sure how the pandemic is going to work out. And by the way, we supported all of that and felt that it was good. We saw, in fact, that only about 6 or 7 of our students in the class of 2020 did not go on to college or university as planned. And what's interesting is that we learned that actually is what the colleges and universities saw. They really didn't see students deciding not to show up in record numbers. Most students thought, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do. So we don't see that having a downwind effect on college admissions this year, which was something that we were interested in looking at. But just back to your original question, everything is child-centered. And I'll tell you, if a senior comes to us in February and says, hey, I've applied, I think I want to go here, but now after this is all done, I want to go on a gap year, we're going to help you, roll up our sleeves and help you find something like that. City year, working opportunity, all of those different things.
Well, no other question came in on the chat, so we'll go ahead and close out today. Darnell, Jen, thank you so much for your time and expertise this morning or afternoon. And just to let you know out there that next week we are off for Thanksgiving. The following week, we're going to be talking with Jason Singleton and Ann Horton, our athletic director and assistant athletic director, about the athletic program here at Columbus Academy. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you. Don't hesitate to contact the admissions office with any sorts of questions you have. We're always ready to help.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Sean.
Thanks for joining us.
All at Academy. Bye.